you see this fence. Behind it, they put together like a museum of historic buildings and parts and artifacts, etc. from a long time ago. I know we have to pay to go inside, so let's do it. I will pay and do a quick walk. And you will be able to see a little bit of the history from this area. This is the chapel. Let's take a look. I like the color. I mean, this is just great. What a cool building. By the way, it was $12 to go inside. This is neat. You have room for maybe 20 people. And a squeaking wooden floor. Wow. How nice. A few Bibles, I assume. And the color is almost peach on this religious robe. Look how they built it. They cut down trees and built this. It's nice. And for some reason, they used stone in this building. I guess it's a mix, but the early buildings were all probably wood. And later, after they dug up gold, right, they could afford stone. I forgot what this was used for. Oh, they used this as a smokehouse. They had a fire pit down on ground level. Meat was hanging on these steel bars, I'm guessing. And they closed the door, and after a few hours, the food was ready to eat. Wow. Buildings during the gold rush, they were all small and tiny. People didn't have time to maintain big homes because they were busy working in the mines or down by the river. A nice bobcat. Well, they just display, equipment people used. They had beavers in the area, and in the wintertime you needed snowshoes for sure. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this building. I'm just passing through. Because I think it's more fun to be outside. I wonder how many donkeys they had in town really during the gold rush. Probably hundreds or thousands maybe. And this is how they transported the pipes. Because they used pipes everywhere, by the way. I like this one. So you had a horse, you had a gun, maybe a few tools, and you were all set, ready to go. And somebody liked dolls, because they collected quite a few of them. Oh, we have more dolls in this cabinet. Hundreds. All right. Why not? You could play with the dolls when the weather was rough and you couldn't be outside. Of course, your tools needed to be sharpened. And you could possibly use a grinding stone like this one while you were sitting down doing the job. I have to be selective because they have simply too many things on display in this museum town. I have to show you the big stuff, like this train. But take a look at the buildings. I mean, this is all typical. It's small, no paint, and people lived in many of them for years. Oh, that's nice. The train is leaving. We need to hurry up.
Jackson, honey, it's me.
They have collected equipment from all over. This is definitely farming equipment, because you can't eat gold, right? So you look for gold and you convert it into stuff you need. The stable area for the donkeys and horses and other animals they might have had.
I want to do that.
These wagons lasted a long time. Think on it, an average car today is dead after 10 years. And these are still operational. They could be. I know they are old and probably falling apart, but I'm just saying they lasted at least 100+ years. What is this? Well, maybe they had to remove snow in the winter time, so they used this one. I'm not sure how it worked, right? You see cogs and what these wheels or handles are doing, I couldn't even guess. And this one is more dramatic because people also died. And they had to transport the coffin to the graveyard. And they are also ready for snow. Because this one doesn't have wheels. Looks like skis. The old Alma mine, the Alma Queen mine to be specific. On the other side of the street you see the blacksmith place, and a guy like that was really the important guy in town because he fixed all the broken equipment. And he also made horseshoes, by the way, because you had quite a few horses in town. And kids love to ring the bell. All right, let's just pass this building really quick. It's like a steam engine. And people maintain these machines. The fire was going on in this area. And they built up steam pressure to run many of these other machines. And you can imagine the noise, right? When all this metal is swinging at high speed. They give us a clue. This machine is the air compressor to power drills. All right. I wonder how they got it up to this altitude with only donkeys. Maybe this one came later. And they built it in New York. That's unbelievable. On the East Coast. Let's take a look at the blacksmith place. The most important place in town. Look at the tools. We have like 100 of different hand tools. And this thing here was blowing in air under the charcoal, I'm guessing. Hammers. We have a big wrench. And other things. It's an interesting job, though, to hammer out what the town needed. And because they had kids in town, they had no choice but to build a school. And this is the school building. Well, they had books benches where students could sit down and learn the English alphabet. We see George Washington up to the left and Abraham Lincoln the other side, an old map. This is really interesting. A class from the 1800s, possibly. All right. And when people died, somebody needed to, make a coffin for them. This is like the spookiest place. My goodness. You can feel it. You walk into this building, it's ice cold. Ooh, I don't want to be the guy. This is bad. Ooh, I'm scared. I don't like these coffin makers. This one is interesting on the outside because they used cannons to remove the soil and things like that, and that was legal for a few years, I guess, and eventually I believe they banned it because it totally ruined the environment. Look at this. Water came in and came out under high pressure on this side, just blowing away everything. This is the old cowboy bar. This is a neat place. They had a telephone, but most of all, they had booze. Nice chandeliers. And you have seen these Western movies. They always had a big mirror behind the bar itself. And people were spitting all the time because they were chewing tobacco. And you can't complain about the artwork. Yeah, this is nice. And of course, gambling was part of the bar life. People sat down, they had poker chips. And I'm guessing music was also an important thing in a drinking place. And in the wintertime, it could be cold, so you could warm up with a stove, or you could buy more booze to stay warm. Yeah, I think we have seen most of this historic museum town. It's definitely an interesting place. You can spend a couple of hours walking around and looking inside every single building, and they have many things on display. But I can't film it all, of course. I mean, that would be ridiculous, but I can give you a few samples. I don't know which one you like the most. I kind of like the bar and the train up the street. Trains are always interesting. So I think it's time to move on to the next interesting place.